The city of London glowed beneath a silver drizzle. Street lights smeared their reflections across wet cobblestones as black cabs hummed along the riverbank. Inside a quiet private club near Covent Garden, a fire burned low in the marble hearth, its amber light flickering over the faces of two people seated in a corner booth. One was Sam Heughan, the Scottish actor whose charm had made him an international symbol of strength and sensitivity. The other was Dakota Johnson, Hollywood's quiet storm, known for her sharp wit and a mysterious smile that always seemed to hide a secret. Their presence together might have gone unnoticed, if not for the way their eyes lingered. There was a story in that gaze, something deeper than the casual politeness of colleagues or acquaintances. It was the kind of silence that speaks louder than words, charged with all the things people pretend not to feel. A journalist sitting a few tables away recognized Sam instantly but hesitated to approach. It wasn't the usual red carpet glow tonight. This was something different, private, intimate. Dakota leaned closer, her voice low. "You know this can't stay quiet forever," she said. Sam's lips curved into a small, careful smile. "Maybe not, but for now, it has to." Outside, thunder rolled faintly in the distance. What no one in that club knew, not even the journalist who would later swear he saw something, was that this was not their first meeting. Nor would it be their last. Because beneath the glamorous chaos of Hollywood and the rigid expectations of fame, Sam and Dakota were building something that neither the media nor their own doubts could destroy. It had begun a year earlier, in the Highlands of Scotland. Dakota had been there filming an independent project, a quiet, haunting film about loss and self-discovery. Sam, on a rare break from Outlander and his film commitments, had been visiting his hometown. Their paths crossed one afternoon in a small cafe overlooking a loch. She was reading a tattered paperback. He was trying not to be recognized. When their eyes met, it wasn't the flash of fame that passed between them, but recognition, the kind that says, "You understand what it's like to live under 1,000 eyes." He offered her a smile, and she returned it with the smallest nod, a silent agreement to let the world disappear for a few hours. They talked about everything. The weight of expectations, the strange loneliness of success, the quiet dreams that never make it into interviews. By sunset, something unspoken had begun. They exchanged numbers, though neither said what they truly meant to say. That meeting had changed them both. In the months that followed, their connection deepened through quiet texts, long calls in hotel rooms, and rare moments when schedules aligned. It wasn't the kind of romance the tabloids could easily capture. There were no red carpets, no social media posts. Instead, there were handwritten letters, private flights, and the occasional weekend in a borrowed cabin in France where they could just be themselves. Dakota once wrote to him, "Ideographic period, we live in two worlds, the one they see, and the one we protect. I want the second one to last forever." Sam kept that letter folded in his wallet. Still, secrets have a way of finding cracks. Rumors began to swirl, anonymous sources whispering about an A-list American actress spending time with a British TV star. But no photos surfaced, no proof. It became one of Hollywood's most elusive mysteries, a ghost story told between PR agents and gossip bloggers. Yet behind the curtain, something far more profound was happening. They weren't just hiding love, they were planning something bigger. Something no one expected. In early spring, Sam and Dakota met again, this time in Italy. She had just finished press for a new film. He was scouting locations for a secret production under his own company. The villa overlooked vineyards and sea cliffs. It was supposed to be a quiet retreat, but it became the night everything changed. Under the golden Tuscan sunset, Sam finally said the words he'd been holding back for months. "I don't want this to be a secret forever." Dakota looked at him, surprised. "You know what that means, don't you? The press will go mad. Your fans, my team, they'll dissect every breath we take." "I know," he said softly. "But maybe the truth deserves to live in the light for once." She hesitated, her eyes glistening. "And what if the light burns us?" Sam smiled faintly. "Then we'll burn together." That night, they made a promise, not to hide, but to prepare. To build a future that wasn't controlled by the machine of Hollywood or the hunger of the media. A secret future, one rooted in trust, shared dreams, and quiet rebellion. The promise they made in Tuscany had lived quietly between them, like a flame hidden beneath glass. Months passed. Projects came and went. Interviews, premieres, press tours, the endless rhythm of fame continued, but something had changed inside both of them. Sam became more cautious in public, but freer in private. His friends noticed the shift, a lightness in his smile, a warmth in his eyes that hadn't been there before. When asked, he'd shrug. "Just working on something special," he'd say, and change the subject. Dakota, meanwhile, began turning down scripts. Her agent grew impatient, calling her choices career suicide. But Dakota only smiled. "Not every role deserves your soul," she said. What no one knew was that she and Sam were spending that time writing together. It started as an idea for a film, a story about two people trapped by fame, trying to find freedom in love. They worked under pseudonyms, sharing drafts and notes across time zones. Their late-night calls turned into creative marathons. By the end of summer, they had a script, one that mirrored their own story, though neither admitted it aloud. They titled it, "The Future We Stole." The first crack in their secret came from an unexpected place, a careless moment, a single photo. Sam had been attending a charity gala in Edinburgh. He arrived alone, smiled for cameras, and left quietly before midnight. Or so he thought. A local photographer, bored and lingering near the back entrance, caught a single frame, Sam opening the door of a black car. Inside, barely visible through the tinted window, was Dakota, her hand reaching for his. The photo wasn't clear. The tabloids dismissed it at first, until one gossip blogger zoomed in, enhanced it, and posted it with a headline that exploded across social media within hours. "Who is the mystery woman with Sam Heughan?" The speculation was instant and brutal. Every woman linked to Sam in the past 5 years was mentioned. Fans analyzed shadows, jewelry, hair color, anything that could prove or disprove the theory. For a week, Dakota stayed silent. Sam's publicist issued the usual denial. Mr. Heughan's private life is his own. But the fire had already started. When Dakota's assistant found paparazzi waiting outside her Los Angeles home, she called Sam in a panic. "They know," she whispered. "I don't know how, but they know." Sam's voice was calm, but his pulse thundered. "Then maybe it's time we stop hiding." A week later, they met in London again, this time not in secret, but in defiance. It was a cold, grey afternoon. They sat in a cafe near Notting Hill, deliberately choosing a table by the window. Cameras flashed outside, faint but constant. Dakota looked uneasy. "They're never going to stop," she said. "They'll twist it, turn it into something ugly." Sam reached for her hand. "Let them," he said. "We know the truth, but even truth has a cost." Within days, tabloids ran headlines that blurred fiction and reality. Heughan's secret American love revealed. Ideographic period, Dakota betrays her Hollywood circle. Inside their hidden romance, lies, leaks, and future plans, interviews they'd done months earlier were reinterpreted to fit the new narrative. Quotes were twisted. Publicists panicked. Sam's team urged him to control the damage. Dakota's PR demanded distance. Instead, they did something no one expected. They vanished. Both disappeared from public life for nearly 2 months. No photos, no appearances, no statements. Rumors said they'd broken up. Others claimed they'd fled to Scotland. But the truth, as always, was stranger. The cottage was small, tucked at the edge of a pine forest near Glenfinnan. It overlooked a lake so still it seemed carved from glass. There was no Wi-Fi, no cameras, only silence, firelight, and the whisper of rain against the windows. That's where Sam and Dakota escaped. Days bled into weeks. They cooked together, hiked, read, and talked, really talked, about everything they'd been afraid to say when the world was watching. One night, as snow fell outside, Dakota asked quietly, "What do you really want, Sam? When all this is over, the fame, the noise, the pretending." He didn't hesitate. "Peace. And you?" She smiled, eyes shining in the candlelight. "You make it sound so simple." "Maybe it is," he said. "We've just been taught to complicate it." That night, he showed her something, a leather notebook filled with sketches and notes. It wasn't for a film, but for a life. A plan. "I've been thinking," he said, "about building something real. A retreat, a home, a place for people like us, actors, artists, to escape, to breathe again. Away from all of that." She turned the pages slowly. At the end, he'd written one line, Ideographic period, with you, if you'll stay. Dakota closed the book and looked up at him. Sam, are you asking me to build a life with you? He smiled softly. I think I already did.